someone asked me if it was possible to bring in CSV data from a spreadsheet, and I have up here some basic game data. And the answer is yes, you can do it, but don't write your own. So I found a great library that I've used in the past, and it is called LinqToCSV. And LinqToCSV is from where's the developer? He has a note in here. Yeah, it's inside here. So if we go to codeproject.com, and once it loads, it's Perdek is his last name, Matt. Okay, so hi Matt. We're going to use your library. He is from, I'm going to get this wrong, and I'm going to get letters. He's from Australasia. There you go, that was diplomatic. I'm sure there's a bio in there somewhere. Yeah, check out his website. So this is an Apache license version 2.0. And can I still do this? Oh yeah, I can. Cool. And the code that we're interested in is actually inside here. So this is the sort of main part of LinqToCSV. So we don't need all the rest of this stuff. The general way that you would get this information is, or that you would get this code is, you would use NuGet or Nugget or however you pronounce it. We can't use NuGet because we're using Unity, and Unity doesn't support it yet, which kind of sucks, but there you have it, folks. Whether they will ever support it, who knows? Maybe when they go to like proper .NET instead of Mono, maybe they will support it then, but until then we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to have to download the zip file. I'm going to extract a few things. So that is the zip file downloaded, and if I go over to Unity, I'm going to open up this in Finder, and why am I in that mode? And I'm going to open this up here, and then I'm going to find my zip file, and I'm going to click on it, and inside here I'm just going to drag, I'm going to bring this up a little bit, I'm going to drag this LinqToCSV. Of course I'm using the Mac and I can't do that, so I need to drag this LinqToCSV over into here, and hopefully this will work. I've not actually tried this yet. I'm expecting that there will be issues compiling it, probably because he's going to be using the latest and greatest version of .NET, and Unity doesn't support some of that information. So that looks actually okay. So we can get rid of this file here, which is the project file, so that can go. And we can get rid of this new spec one, that can go. And properties can also go as well, because we don't need that. So we should have everything that we need there. That's good. Now, what we have in the scene here is we're going to have a scene object spawner, and I'm going to add my CSV example object spawner to here, and we're going to be using the library to get information from our Google spreadsheet, but we're going to be exporting it. I'm going to keep at this series because eventually we're just going to be able to pull this data down, but this is an easy way to get the data from a Google spreadsheet. So that's what we're going to do in this video. Alrighty, so for the object spawner, what I'm going to do is sorry, I'm flicking around here. I have these objects here, so I have plain, red cube, green cube, blue cube, and they're all located behind the camera, and they're all located at basically 0, 0, 0. Although, yeah, they're all located at 0, 0, 0 inside objects. So everything moves with objects, which is kind of good. So I don't need a prefab, I just have it in this particular scene here. So, I mean, you could make prefabs and you could export them, but I'm not going to do that. So for in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose a property. I'm going to do public game object, and I'm just going to call them prefabs. Let's call them objects. And then internally, I'm going to have another field, which is going to be our actual objects that we go to. So I'm going to do private dictionary game object, and this is going to be my prefabs. Equals new dictionary. There you go. And for my awake, I'm going to go through all of these objects and add them to my prefab dictionary. And because the goal is that we're going to take this spreadsheet, we're going to download it, and then we're going to use something called Linq, which is a fluent design. If you look at, we won't bother going into that just now, but the idea is that we're going to be able to instantiate these based on what the values are in here. Now, this is a very simple example, but it kind of shows you the power of it, so you could use this for your non-player characters and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm going to show you a really cool thing as well in the next video. So stay tuned for that. Not that I'm going to not show you something cool today. I mean, it's data, but you know, data can be cool. So for each object in object, I really wish we could not do that. Prefabs object.name equals object, and that's what I'm going to do for the awake. And then inside my inside the start method, so this is the start method here, I am going to do void start. So what I'm going to do inside here, I'm going to what can I do here? I'm going to read the products from there. Okay, so read the data from the CSV file. Run through all the objects that it creates. Create an instance of the named prefab. Don't forget to instance name. Don't forget to give the instance the name and position. And I think that's it. Yeah, so there's a couple of bits that we need to kind of break down here. So the first thing is, I've named these things very specifically. So prefab name, instance name, X, Y, and Z. Now the reason why I've done that is because I'm going to create another class inside Unity. So if I go to my script folder, and I'm going to create this as, let's call it scene object. Or yeah, let's call it CSV scene object. Just because it's a CSV object. And I'm going to double click that, and this is going to be a plain old C# class, so I don't need anything else inside there. And then I'm going to go back to here, and I want to copy all of these values here because I want them to be exactly as written. So I have my public string prefab name get set, public string instance name get set, public float x get set, public float y get set, public float z get and set. Now, why am I doing all this? The reason I'm doing this is because LinqToCSV needs you to create an object of a particular type so that when it takes in a row, it will put the data inside that object. So it's very similar to JSON, the JSON stuff that we've done. But also when you look at a table like this, we have basically these are the columns represent the attributes or the properties of the object, and each row represents the instance of that particular class. So we have an instance here, this line here is the instance of red cube, which is going to be called cube1, and that's the position, and so on. So there is a huge correlation between tables and classes and rows and instances. So your columns make up your properties and your rows make up your instances of each class. Okay, and now what we need to do is go back to CSV object spawner. So we need to read the data from the CSV file. So where are we going to get the data from? Well, I'm going to do public text asset, and then this is going to be our scene object. We'll call it scene object, or scene descriptor. We'll call it scene descriptor. So that's the scene descriptor file. So this is a tooltip that contains the objects to be spawned in this scene. Tooltip, the prefabs for each object. Okay, so that's our objects and our scene descriptor. We have our awake function, and then we want to read the data from the CSV file. Now, it just so happens that there is a handy-dandy example in here. Now, we'll get to these in a later video, but you can specify different values here. We're just going to use the names of the fields. So the first thing is we need to add our LinqToCSV. Okay, so we'll do that at the very top here. So we don't need collections, so we can get rid of that. And I'm going to add using LinqToCSV, and you see that it's already there because we have dragged and dropped that in there. It's currently gray because we're not using it just now. So the next thing we need to do is we need to create a file descriptor. So our file descriptor, our separator character is going to be a comma because it's going to be a comma separated value, and the first line does have the column names. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to paste that in here. So we haven't actually done this bit yet, read the data from the CSV file yet. So the next thing is create the CSV context object. So this is the sort of object that sort of where the magic happens, so to speak. So we will put this inside here. So that's the CSV context. And then the next part is it reads it in from this file. Now, I don't think we can do that. So this is the example that they give on Code Project. But if I do cc.read, what do I get? What options do I have here? I have 4 options. I've got a file name, I've got a stream, I've got a file name, and I've got a stream. Okay. Right. Well, I don't have any of these things. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make this into a stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say using memory stream and I'll need to add system.io. System.io. So it'll be var memory stream equals new memory stream, and and this is going to be all in here. So we need to make this all in here. So what's this complaint here? Serialization format not compatible with .NET. Okay, I don't really care because I don't care. We're never doing cross compilations. I don't. It doesn't matter. And I also need a stream reader, but I also need a stream writer as well. So I want to do var txt writer, stream writer, and then we pass in our stream. And so for those of you who are playing along at home and wondering why I keep putting using around here, and it's because each one of these is disposable, and once you've you can go through the whole calling dispose and all that kind of stuff, but the using keyword is not only used up here, but it is also used, excuse me a sec, is also used to handily dispose objects once you're finished with them. So that's why we have these nested using statements here. And we need one more as well. We actually need a using var txt reader equals new stream reader. And that's also going to go in there. Okay, so it looks a bit messy, but we'll maybe come back and revisit this and tidy it up a little bit. So first things first, I want to write the data that's inside my scene descriptor into our memory stream. Now, our memory stream is just a convenient bit of memory that we're going to put things in here. But the reason why we want that is because CSV context needs to have some kind of a stream reader. So I'm going to do txt writer dot write, and then I'm going to pass in scene descriptor dot text, and that's going to write all those values out to there. The next thing I want to do is I want to go back to the very start of the stream, because I want to start reading. Why did that do that twice? That's just silly. Because I want to start reading from this point here. So now I'm going to do cc dot read, and then I need my type. Now my type is CSV scene object. So I'm reading in this type, and where am I reading it in from? I'm reading it in from my txt reader, which is mapped into this memory stream. And then so I'm reading my other monitor so that I can. I'm on code project. Actually, I can flip the code project in this monitor, and then I can pass in my input file descriptor, which is input file description. And then from here, I can actually use Fluent Design to then go and get other values from there. So I can do get enumerator. Yeah, that's what they do. So they do var rows equals, I'm going to put this in the next line, dot get enumerator. Okay, so now I have my enumerator and I can do anything I want. So that's me reading in the data from the file. I want to run through all the objects that it creates, create an instance of that prefab. Okay. So at this point here, this line here, rows now contains basically an enumeration of our CSV scene object, and our CSV scene object is what we're going to be iterating through. I need to have using system link. I need to have link, because if I don't have link, I don't have any of this stuff. So now I've got access to for each var row in rows. Wait, was I getting an enumerator to enumerator there? So I think what we can do is we can actually just get rid of that there, and now that we have link, we can do .toList for each, and then we can use our actions. So remember our actions there. So our action is our scene object, and we are wanting to do what with our scene object? Well, we want to create an instance of that scene object. So let's just recap that again. Okay. Okay. So everything's fine. It's just that I'm wrong. First things first. This is LinqToCSV. So we're going to be using our link library, which is part of system. So we need that. The read returns an IEnumerable, which is great because that's what Linq uses, and we can iterate through that. I don't know what I was doing this for, because that's an enumerator and that doesn't work. But this way, what we can do is we can now access all the fluent versions of the link library. So we can do dot, and we can use where, we can use select, we can use a whole bunch of things here. But what I'm going to do, just for this one example, is I'm going to do toList. And now that I have toList, I can now use for each. And then for each is going to take in a scene object, and then we're going to perform an action on that scene object. Okay. So that's what we're going to do just now. So the action is this here. So I'm going to bring that up here, and it says create an instance of the name prefab, don't forget the instance name position. Okay, so the copy of the prefab is going to be game object copy equals instantiate, and then it's going to be our prefabs, and then the name of the object, which is going to be from so dot, and then we use prefab name, and then we can give it our we can change those values there. So we're then going to do copy dot name equals so dot instance name, and then copy dot transform equals so dot x, so dot y, so dot z, and then that's going to be our new vector 3. That there, and then that. Okay. Copy dot transform dot position. Why does it keep flipping like that? Okay. Don't forget to give the instance name in the post. Okay. All right. I think we are done. Okay. So what are we missing? There's usually something we're missing, and by we I mean the idiot in front of the keyboard just now, which is me. Okay, so we have memory stream, we've got the text writer, we write out the contents of the scene descriptor text file, we seek to the start, we then read the entire contents in from the text reader, which is attached to the same memory stream. We then convert that to a list, and then for each of those values we go through and then we create an instance of that value, and we set the position, set the instance name. Okay, I think we're good to go. So the few things that we need to do now are I have my scene object spawner here. I have my objects, so I'm going to lock that in place. I'm going to drag these guys across to those objects, and then I need to get my scene descriptor. So my scene descriptor, I have these values here. I've got downloads, perfect, and I have that over there, and then I'm going to create a new folder in here called resources. Now remember, you can create these resource folders anywhere you want. This is where I'm going to create it. It's inside there, inside the CSV folder, and then I'm going to do file, download as, comma separated value CSV current sheet, and that's going to download that to here. I'm going to change this instead of CSV. I've got it. I can't have it as CSV because if I change it to, if I have it as CSV, I don't think Unity likes it. We can try. Actually, let's try. We'll just call this objects.csv. I don't think Unity likes it, but we'll see what happens. So I'm going to drag this out into my resources folder, like that. And I'm going to back to Unity, and Unity is, well, it's, okay. It says it's got it's a file. So let's see if that works. And we'll drag it across to there, and it seems to like it. So that's good, I guess. So we have our object in here. We have our badly named object file here. We could call it something a little bit better than that, but we'll leave it just now. And we have our prefabs in there. So what should happen? So right now the scene is currently looking like this. But when we run this, hopefully everything is all set up. So there's our file there. That's good. So again, I can just zoom in a little bit here. So you can see prefab name, instance name, XYZ. So you can see these values have all come through. Although that's kind of weird, the fact that's 0, comma. Why is that 0, comma? Oh, because it's 0, comma. Because I put 0, comma in there. That's why. Good catch. Okay, so I'm going to do download as CSV again, and I'm going to so this is going to be let's call this something else. Let's call this scene objects. And then I'm going to just drag and drop it into the game, and now it should work okay. I'm going to delete that one, and then for my object spawner I'm going to drag and drop that across into there. So scene objects is a little bit better than that generic thing there. So without further ado, let's just make sure everything's okay over here. Okay, let's press play and see what happens. The object was used after being disposed. So nothing got created. And where are we? That fixed the problem. So everything else is fine. There was nothing else I needed to change. I did add this up here. I don't think it's helping, but we can leave it in here. It just basically clamps the amount of memory being used by the memory stream to use the exact length of the file. So there's still a to-do warning here, but it's an issue with Mono and .NET, so I'm not too fussed about it. So if we go to here, and now we run this, I run this application here, and then it will put those values in there. So you can see that if I go back to my Google Sheets, you'll see that we have a plane, which is the ground. So we have our ground over here. So you see we have ground, tower 1, and cube 1. And we have our red cube, which is at -5, which is this one over here. And we have our blue cube, which is at 5, and it is at 10. So that is good. So everything works. Our CSV file is working, and we can instantiate everything we need to instantiate. So all is good in the world. that is a success.
Hi guys, thank you very much for watching. This is part of the Video a Day in September 2017 videos. If you liked it or you didn't like it, hit the appropriate button below. Subscribe, so if you hit the little icon over there, then you'll get notified, especially when you hit the little alarm icon. That's the really important part apparently. Then you'll get notified when a new video goes up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.